This week on Unscripted, news on the Greatest Rumble event and will it air on the WWE Network, and who might be calling this event. One Hall of Famer gives a hint of who that might be. Backstage news on Daniel Bryan, what he had to do to get cleared for WWE competition again. And Triple H says 205 Live is a work in progress. All this and more this week on Unscripted. What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost, and we are back again this week for another episode of Unscripted, episode 12, 2018, in March 25th, 26th. We have a lot of news to go over. Daniel Bryan, of course, is the biggest news of the week. News on what Triple H has to say about 205 Live. Backstage news on the Greatest Royal Rumble, and if it's going to air on the WWE Network, which there's a lot of news on that. Daniel Bryan, of course, is the biggest news of the week. He was cleared this week. I have news on that later. But I am excited for that. You can't start a podcast for the week without even talking about Daniel Bryan, without talking about this some more. I will have more news on him later in the show, but I just want to say that I am happy for him and the news that I have read about him get cleared. This man was dedicated, and what he had to go through to get this clearance gives hope to anybody. Like Corey Graves, I said this on Tuesday. Corey Graves, who's sitting there at commentary, was the first of WWE's main rosters, like NXT's, like people on WWE television, which was NXT before the WWE Network. Which, if you want to see Corey Graves in action, you have to go to before the WWE Network. You have to go before 2014, pretty much, in the WWE Network started NXT. You have to go to like 2013, and I believe 2012 or 2013. I don't know when the NXT we know today actually started coming up, but he was a main part of that NXT. He was a tag team champion with Neville. He was the guy who had the tattoos that said "Stay Down" on his hands, and he would just his Lucky 13 finisher stuff, but he had to start wrestling because of concussions, and pretty much the same reason Daniel Bryan did. Maybe if he goes through these treatments or something too that Daniel Bryan had to go through, hyperbaric chambers and whatnot, maybe he can get wrestling again. It's a big deal, and Daniel Bryan instantly made WrestleMania worth watching, especially if it's going to be him, Shane McMahon versus the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which they did that beautifully on Tuesday with Daniel Bryan, which apparently that was written last minute, even after he got cleared, which I know when he got cleared, they did not have it written into the show that he was going to be cleared until much later, until the last second, the last hour, it was at the midnight hour on writing the script before it had to be done and ready to go. And they added that beatdown in, which was done masterfully. The guys getting fired, and the fact that Kevin Owens went from he changed his Twitter handle from Fight Owens Fight or whatever he had it to Fight Steen Fight, and changed his name back to Kevin Steen, is appreciated because it keeps kayfabe alive a little bit. He actually also took his picture, his banner and his picture, and blocked them out like some people who don't want to be seen have. So that's awesome. I don't think Sami Zayn's done that yet, but it's great to go above and beyond to get a storyline over. I mean, they took him out of the WrestleMania preview. They put the roster pages in the alumni section. Will Daniel Bryan or Shane McMahon be on SmackDown next week? That is a question I'm wondering. Because you had Shane McMahon beat down last week, you had Daniel Bryan beat down this week. Will Vince McMahon or somebody else be on SmackDown this week to address this whole situation and set the match up? That is my question. Will we see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn try and get back into the building like we've seen, like when John Cena got fired a couple years ago with the Nexus, was gone. He came out the next night after the pay-per-view, which he lost to get fired. And he came out, he gave this big moving speech that he's going to go see some of his family. He hasn't seen it forever. He does his big, huge speech, leaves, and then the very next week we see him again. Of course, back then they had time that they could have had him leave for about a week or two. This time they don't really have that much time. They have to make this match announced next week. If you want it to actually work the way you need it to, this match needs to be announced next week, not on the Go Home show. And like this weekend, I would have them booked for Evolve. I would have Evolve have Kevin Steen and El Generico show up on their shows if they have any this week, or ICW or Progress in the UK. Have them, or next week, this weekend or next week or something. You could have had, like, if you would have had this storyline started, they would have cleared him last month or something, or like the night after the Elimination Chamber, these two could have been booked on like some indie shows to play it up that, hey, these guys have been fired, but they're allowed to go to like PWG, which is one of the few places that people who are under a 90 days no compete clause get to go, because it's there's no TV to it, or ICW or Progress or Evolve. It just would have made it a lot like cooler. Like, they fired him and they're like, you know what, we're going to take your no compete out so you can go do what you want, so we don't have to see you again. So that would be interesting. Going to start off today's show with a little bit of an update on our WWE Champion AJ Styles. As you know, AJ Styles is scheduled to return to the ring this weekend at SmackDown Live events in New Jersey, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. According to PW Insider, Styles is booked to work in 8-man tag matches. Likely as a way to cut down on his in-ring work, Styles will be teaming with the New Day, face Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin, Rusev, and Aiden English. Good. Basically, AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura on TV should not be wrestling anymore. We have 2 weeks left. You have some kind of promo hyping up this great encounter this week coming up. They don't even have to be on TV. Just have this promo of them, or have Tom Phillips or Corey Graves sit down with these two and have a big promo like a la The Rock and Stone Cold before WrestleMania 17, when those two sat down with JR and was asked all these questions, especially what the WWF at the time championship meant to them, and all this other stuff. And that was one of the best promos of that build. So have Corey Graves sit down with these two and just have them talk about what they want to achieve in this match at WrestleMania, what the title means to them and their careers and everything. That would be just all you need. You don't have to have them wrestle a match. They don't even have to show up live. Just have this promo set on SmackDown for about 5-10 minutes, and boom, you're done. You don't have to do anything till the next week. So that's something they can do. As noted, AJ Styles briefly appeared at last week's WWE Live events from Madison Square Garden and did an injury angle, but then missed the rest of the shows that weekend. Styles appeared on Tuesday's SmackDown show, but did not get physical. It was reported that he saw WWE doctors backstage at Monday Night Raw, but there is no word yet on what they found. Styles spoke with Catch News earlier this week during an international media call and commented that on his status for the match with Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 34. Here's the recap. Pretty much, AJ said, if my leg got cut off, I'd find a way to make it to WrestleMania. Styles said, I will be wrestling Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Triple H also spoke with Catch News and said they are working with AJ to get him cleared for the big match in New Orleans, if possible. And I hate when they say if possible. Unless it is a debilitating injury, it must be a knee injury. Unless he tore his ACL, MCL, PCL, or anything like that, or like tweaked it a little. Like, if it's just a little tweak, he should be fine. They can, him and Nakamura, masters of the ring, they know how to get around this injury if it's a small, minor one. He does say AJ is working diligently on rehabbing his injury and getting himself in tip-top shape for WrestleMania. We are trying to help him with that process of getting the best care and the best rehab and everything else possible. We're hoping for the best. Right now, he says he's feeling a lot better and will be ready to go. Obviously, we'll get him doctors to make sure that he is ready to go and get a medical clearance if that's possible. He's working very hard at it, so we're hoping for the best. I'm hoping this doesn't end up being one of those things where at the very last minute they're like, AJ, you can't wrestle. AJ, you can't wrestle. Your knee or whatever it is, they haven't even said what his injury is. But they're like, AJ, you cannot wrestle this match at WrestleMania. You know how pissed off the fans will be if AJ Styles just 2 weeks from WrestleMania, or a week before, or like the go-home show to WrestleMania, it's found out AJ Styles is not going to be able to wrestle this match at WrestleMania. I could just see everybody getting pissed as hell that this match has been built and been fantasy booked about since Nakamura came to the SmackDown, that this match is not going to happen because of a minor injury that most people get to work through. So it's going to happen, and AJ Styles probably won't be 100%. But of course, who is 100%? Seriously, who is ever 100% at WrestleMania at WWE or any wrestling so long into their careers? I mean, these guys have been wrestling forever. So looking forward to this match still. I'm not going to sit there and say that AJ Styles is going to miss WrestleMania if he ends up missing WrestleMania because of some minor injury, and Vince McMahon wants to say, well, he can't wrestle, so we're going to have to pull the match. Even though it's just a tiny minor injury, it would be one of the biggest mistakes they ever made. But it sounds like he's going to be okay. He's going to be in 8-man tag matches, which is fine. I think him and Nakamura on house shows, if they're going to wrestle, should be in 8-man, 10-man, 9, 10, 20-man tag matches, so they don't do as much. You have so much riding on this match. I mean, same thing on the Raw side with your Roman Reigns, which we'll get into him later. We will definitely get into that later. And he gets injured. If he gets injured, Vince McMahon is going to go all hell. But he's probably not wrestling anything. I don't know. I haven't looked at results from house shows, so I can't tell. I'm sure he's not wrestling singles matches on his own. So I think AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura should not wrestle single matches either. So that is that on the AJ Styles news. Hopefully we'll have more on that later on. Vince McMahon and them, there is talk also moving on here about Hulk Hogan. Maybe WWE's confirmed that they have talks with Hulk Hogan, but there's a soon-to-be Hall of Famer that could probably help steer WWE and getting Hulk Hogan back for maybe a night. And that would be his good old buddy, Hillbilly Jim, who wants Hogan to induct him into the WWE Hall of Fame. After being announced as one of the inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2018, Hillbilly Jim said he wants Hulk Hogan, of all people, which was not surprising. If you know your history, Hillbilly Jim was introduced to the WWE and WWF fans, as they were called back then, by Hulk Hogan, because they brought him in as a so-called fan, and Hogan would train him up to become a wrestler. So, if anybody was going to induct Hillbilly Jim, it should be Hulk Hogan of anybody else. Jim says last week in an interview with TMZ that if it would be as great as it could be if Hogan inducted him. Jim described the impact Hogan had on his wrestling career, saying, "When I first came into the business to get brushed up against the guy that was the most popular wrestler on earth, it was wonderful what he did for me." He added that being inducted by the Hulkster would be the cream on top of this thing. When Jim first appeared in the World Wrestling Federation in late 1984, he was portrayed as a fan known as Big Jim, who routinely sat in the front row of live events, who decided to try his hand at wrestling himself after appearing as a guest on Piper's Pit. Roddy Piper offered his services to train him. Jim, however, chose to train by WWF heavyweight champion Hulk Hogan instead of the villainous Piper. A series of vignettes that then aired on WWF programming in the early weeks of 1985, showing Hogan training Jim and providing him with his first set of wrestling boots for his in-ring debut. WWE's video package of Jim going into the Hall of Fame highlights the storyline connection, saying that Hogan took Jim under his guidance and turned him into from a fan into a WWE superstar. So, if Hogan is to make his return, this would be the probably time that he would come back. They would have him come back because of the storyline connection of Hillbilly Jim and Hulk Hogan. Yes, Hulk Hogan still has a lot of ground to make up on what he did back in 2000, what he did back in the early 2000s. And of course, that came out in 2015, I believe. Yeah, 2015. And they ended up firing him. And Mark Henry, of course, said if Hogan wanted to come back, he should come into the locker room and find all the African American wrestlers and apologize to all of them. then like athletes like superstars like Henry or legends like Henry would accept him back. So if that's all it takes, then all Hogan should do is like they should have a meeting with all the superstars, not just the African American superstars. Have all the superstars in everybody who works in the WWE in one big room. Have Hogan come in, have a mic, and just sit there and lay down the best truthful apology that he can, and then WWE will welcome Hogan back in. And Hogan, with what his mistakes he made, could be used as an ambassador to young kids to let them know what is good and what is not in the world. They can have Hogan sit there in a room full of kids, explain his story of how this impacted his life, and he could be a positive thing for the WWE. Do I want to see him back on WWE television? No. There's no reason to have him on television, but WWE has those ambassador programs. You see Lita go and Bob Backlund and all these other legends that I can't think of off the top of my head, like DDP sometimes, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall now, Jake the Snake Roberts, Ricky Steamboat, and all those guys. They all have ambassador programs, and they go out and WWE can have them talk to kids. They do autograph signings. They still have some money they can make off of Hogan for autograph signings. I mean, WrestleMania weekend, he goes to Be a Star. He can go to Be a Star rally at WrestleMania weekend and talk about this and the mistakes he's made and how it can hurt, hurting other people with these type of words is never a good thing. And it could help WWE send that message, because this was the biggest star in the WWF for about 5, 6, 7 years. So that would be great for them to do. And of course, the nostalgia factor for those if his music hits again, and especially if he was to get back into WWE's graces for now, do the whole Be the Star thing to be able to get people to say this guy does realize he made a mistake, and he might still feel that way, but you got to learn not to say that out loud. But then, of course, I guarantee you, if he was to be the one to induct Hillbilly Jim, as soon as Real American comes on to the Hall of Fame, the crowd and the fans in the crowd there may be some boos, but there's going to be a lot of cheers. So if he does come back, I can see this being one of the few reasons why you would see him on TV. Rey Mysterio has been a busy boy. Rey Mysterio signs with a new promotion, becomes a co-owner. As reported by the Tennessean, never heard of that, must be a Tennessee paper, highly sought after professional wrestler Rey Mysterio has signed a deal with Lucha to become both a superstar and a co-owner of the company. Mysterio's future has been up in the air for a few months now in the wake of his surprise 2018 Royal Rumble match appearance, with many reports suggesting that he'd be returning to WWE on a full-time basis. No, everyone knows that Rey Mysterio is not going to sign to WWE for a full-time basis. It's going to have to be a part-time deal. He's not going to sign. As it stands, though, it seems that the phrase priorities will be focused elsewhere for the time being. That was all they had on there? I thought I had more. Okay, hold on. Rey Mysterio's talks with WWE aren't entirely done just yet, as he is reportedly set to have his injured bicep evaluated before continuing talks with the company. Rey Mysterio's reporting Rey Mysterio will travel to Birmingham, Alabama this week to have his partially torn bicep examined before attempting to sign a new deal with WWE. Despite this announced as a co-owner of a Lucha promotion, WWE says to be moving forward with plans to discuss a new deal with Mysterio about potential return. So I have no idea. There was no information really on the Lucha thing. I might have missed that one, but this will be something on the vein of when Tommy Dreamer came back to WWE a couple years ago when they did the Wyatts versus the Dudleys and Rhino and Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer came out of the crowd with his kendo stick in one hand, his trash can with a bunch of weapons in the other, walking to the ring through the crowd, and he had a House of Hardcore shirt on him. This would be the same thing with Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, one, is not going to be a full-time star. There's no need for Rey Mysterio to be a full-time star. That means he doesn't need to go to house shows. Because he doesn't need to go to house shows. He doesn't have to be on every Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, or NXT, or wherever he would be. He would only need to be seen every so often. He's paid his dues. He doesn't need to be full-time. this Era Lucha thing, he's going to probably work there too. You're probably going to see Rey Mysterio here and there if he does sign with WWE. Now, the torn bicep, of course, it's partially torn, so it's not like, I believe Drew McIntyre's bicep was completely torn. I could be wrong. If it was partially torn, then he'll probably be out as long as Drew McIntyre is, which is November, about 5 months so far, and he might be 6 months still, 6 to 8 months, I believe it is, so he'll be after WrestleMania. So, it would be interesting to see him get... Like, there was not... I got this report, and I didn't see anything on Era Lucha, so I'm like, what is up with this Era Lucha? So, Rey Mysterio has become a co-owner of a new company, a new promotion called Era Lucha. Everyone look up for that if you want to see Rey Mysterio wrestle. Once his bicep is done, of course, he is going to be a... he is going to be a co-owner, so they might do stuff with him. Now, if he goes back to WWE, he is such a big name for them that... Rey Mysterio right now, if he was to sign a deal, he doesn't even need to be used as an on-screen performer for like the WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 205 Live, or whatever. As long as he's healing his bicep, they could have him do WWE productions for the Latin American areas. He could be like on one of those WWE shows that only air in Latin American areas as like the on-air host, or he could be the one doing DVD things for that area where he's the host of it, like top 20 and Latin, Mexican superstars like Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Chavo Jr., Chavo Classic, and stuff like that, and he's the one talking about all that. They have some things they can do with him while he rehabs his bicep. He could be on the Spanish announce team for the time being until his bicep heals. Just something for them to do. They could have a 3-man Spanish announce team for now. And then of course that could build into a storyline once his bicep is healed, that they could have him be... They did this with Chris... They did this with JBL and Chris Jericho when JBL first got into... I believe it was JBL and Chris Jericho when JBL first got into announcing, that he was sitting at the he was sitting at the commentator's booth, and I believe Chris Jericho went over there and attacked him, and then he got up and came into the ring, clotheslined him. Or when CM Punk was rehabbing an injury, same thing. He was rehabbing an injury, and for the time being, they had him on commentary, which was some of the best commentary at the time. When he was commentating, of course, he was when he came back from being on commentary was when John Cena conveniently got fired, and then was back the next 2 weeks later. He got up from the announce booth and went in and attacked John Cena because John Cena said that, "Oh, I'm done. I'm out of here. I have to quit. I have to leave." And then 2 weeks later, he was back. The only thing that was great about that entire portion of John Cena getting fired was that it brought CM Punk back and gave CM Punk a motivation of why he hates John Cena. So, there you go. So, if anybody who knows what Era Lucha is, I apologize. I thought I had more on it, but apparently they didn't have any actual things. But Mysterio in Era Lucha, so make sure to check that out. Moving on here, there is going to be, besides just a 50-man Rumble, every single male title in the main roster is going to be defended at this Rumble event. This is from WWE.com. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and Stamford, Connecticut, following an agreement between His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh and WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia invites the world of the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia on Friday, April 27th at 7 p.m. AST to celebrate. Which apparently I'm guessing they're saying that's, I guess they said that's about 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which would be amazing. The greatest Royal Rumble event in WWE history. The tickets will be available Saturday, March 31st, and this historic event will be featured 7 championship matches, including the WWE Universal, Intercontinental, United States Championships, the Tag Team Championships of Raw and SmackDown, and the Cruiserweight Championship. And you probably wondered, why aren't the women being defended? Oh, they're being sexist over there. It's Saudi Arabia. This is just like there was last year in India, I believe it was. There was Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks for the women's title for the first time. They had to wear special suits to be able to do that. To be able to have Nia Jax and probably Alexa Bliss and Asuka and Charlotte to try and color themselves up for these matches. It's just like a hassle. And especially, it's just something that they don't want to have to go through, so they're just going to leave the women behind this time, and they probably wouldn't be able to get approval fast enough anyway. Maybe next year if they do something like that, because they did it in the Middle East once. They don't and that was Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss. Now, when it comes to these matches for the titles, it's 3 weeks after WrestleMania before the next pay-per-view, which will be Backlash in May. I'm thinking these are just going to be these, and maybe this will be the these will be the WrestleMania rematches to end those feuds. So when we get to Backlash, we can see new title matches instead of like we usually see every single year. Every single year, we always see the same thing. It seems like we have WrestleMania, we have big title matches. 1 month later, we have next pay-per-view. Not even that usually. Most of the time until this year, it's been WrestleMania at the beginning of April and the pay-per-view at the end of April. And that pay-per-view at the end of April is just the title rematches to all the titles that changed hands. Hopefully, with this seven championship matches at the Greatest Rumble ever, this will be your championship rematches. Besides Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar is going to be gone, so I don't know what they're doing for the Universal title. But we'll probably see Styles versus Nakamura, Orton versus the winner of the United States Championship match. We do not need that to be a triple threat. We'll probably see the Balor versus The Miz. We'll probably see the Bar versus whoever beat them for the tag team titles with Braun Strowman. The Cruiserweight Championship will be who did not win the Cruiserweight match at WrestleMania, I'm sure. So if it's Cedric Alexander, I'm sure Mustafa Ali will be the one. And the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, I have no idea what they're doing there, so it's probably going to be the Usos versus either the Bludgeon Brothers or the Bar or the other ones, whoever it was. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. In addition to the 7 championship matches, the ring will include the first ever 50-man Royal Rumble. Fans will get to see superstars John Cena, Triple H, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Braun Strowman, The New Day, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, and Shinsuke Nakamura, among others. Additional tickets, to details, and broadcast information will be available in the coming weeks. Speaking of those broadcast information for those who were not able to make it to Saudi Arabia, WWE Network has also quietly confirmed that the Greatest Royal Rumble event on Friday, April 27th, will air on the WWE Network. It is scheduled to air at 7 in Saudi Arabia, which is noon Eastern Time that same day. Awesome. The event was scheduled to feature a 50-man Rumble as well as 7 title matches. The Hero by Nature YouTube Twitter account posted a screenshot below the other day, revealing that if you attempt to cancel your subscription, the Greatest Rumble is one of the events it says you'll be missing, along with WrestleMania and Backlash. I did see the picture, and it had WrestleMania, the Greatest Royal Rumble ever, and then the Backlash pay-per-view thing. So it is going to be on the WWE Network. That's going to be 7. I'm hoping it's the whole thing. They could just be like, oh, well, we're going to have just the Greatest Rumble for you guys, and Saudi Arabia gets the 7 matches, which would be kind of dumb. But that's 7 title matches and the Greatest Rumble ever. So that's going to be probably about 3, 4, 5 hours, because the Rumble itself is going to be at least 2 hours, I'm pretty sure. I mean, hell, a 30-man Rumble usually takes 45 to 50 to an hour, depending on how long the eliminations start going. So, yeah, I can see this being about a 2-hour event just on the Rumble itself. So that makes me wonder, are we going to get to see the championship matches? But that hasn't been decided yet. But that is going to make it more exciting, because I will definitely be reviewing the Greatest Rumble ever, as well as the championship matches if they happen on the WWE Network. Speaking of this Rumble match, who could be calling this match? One legend and Hall of Famer has kind of spilled the beans on who may be calling it. According to PW Insider, Jerry the King Lawler stated on his podcast that Jim Ross and himself will reunite and commentate the Greatest Rumble on April 27th from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, which will broadcast on the WWE Network. The report adds the source saying WWE is doing every move possible to make the first show in a 10-year agreement with Saudi Arabia's social and economic program Vision 2030 into something massive, impactful. That's awesome, first off. Second, This is nothing this is something they should do every time, not just the first time. Don't be like, oh, well, hey, we gave you this great event, so everything else that we do after this is just going to be crap. We're just going to come out with just stale matches and everything. This Greatest Rumble is the only thing we're actually going to put 120% effort into to get over there. So it is going to be great to see JR and King, if they were calling this entire show. This will definitely be better than the work they had for the Raw 25 show, because they really didn't have anything. They had Bray versus Matt in a 2-minute match. They had the Balor Club versus the Revival in like a 2-minute match, and the Undertaker's promo. In that promo, I have no idea like what it even leads to. So we will have to see what happens there. We will. If it is them two, that is going to be awesome, because JR and King, which I'm sure when the show starts, if it's all 7 matches and the Rumble, I'm sure like the first few matches or so might be a little slow because they haven't done this in a while, like on a regular basis. If they get the whole show, that's going to be great. If it's just a Rumble, then that's also great. I mean, why not? But we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it's the whole thing. I mean, the 7 championship matches itself will probably be an hour, maybe 2. So we're looking at 4 hours for this show, starting at 1 o'clock our time. So yeah, we're looking at a 4-hour show, maybe. Unless you're gonna have a bunch of championship matches that are like a few minutes. So it's like you have an hour for the championship matches in all, and then a 2-hour Rumble match. Which that Rumble match, because Rumble matches usually they have like high points, low points. But like they don't, like a 30-minute man Rumble, it sometimes can have those really low points where it's just like, it's slow, there's nothing going on. Oh, now it's starting to pick up. How are you going to be able to keep somebody's interest with a 50-man Rumble? That is the question. What is on line for this 50-man Rumble? Of course, everyone knows the Royal Rumble itself. You win, you go to WrestleMania. Of course, is this going to be the winner of this match gets a match at SummerSlam? Or Backlash? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So we will definitely have to see how that goes. And if it is going to be JR and Jim Ross on call for this entire event, that just makes it a lot better. Plain and simple. We don't have to listen to Michael Cole's nauseating, the big dog, he's the big dog comments, because it's just so nauseating listening to Michael Cole. Plain and simple. Moving on here, big update on Big Cass on Raw this past Monday. Injured WWE superstar Big Cass was backstage at Monday's show in Dallas. According to PW Insider, we noted back in mid-February that Cass has been spotted at WWE Performance Center in Orlando, and he's said to be looking good, moving around without any assistance. Word going around at Raw this week was that Cass is at the final stages of being cleared and could return to storylines on Raw soon. Cass has been out of action since August 2017 after undergoing surgery to repair a torn ACL. It was said then that Cass would be out of action until around May, forcing him to miss WrestleMania 34 while WWE had a singles push plan for him. It sounds like Cass may be back before May based on talks with Raw this week. First and foremost, Cass, I don't see him doing anything anyway. The guy is terrible on promo. He does not have a promo whatsoever. This guy is just off for a promo. His knees are going to be a liability. I can only tell you that. Just the way he's built, I can tell he's going to have Kevin Nash knees, where they're going to be good for a good portion of his career, and then like he's going to end up losing. But as long as he doesn't have the Kevin Nash coming back from a bicep injury, coming into an 8-man tag match, doing 2 steps and then tearing both quads, because that's what happened to Kevin Nash when the NWO thing was still going on. So yeah, I don't see him going very far. I know he's going to get multiple chances because of his size and his look, but I've never been a fan of Big Cass, and good luck for him. But I don't see him being I don't even see him being a 2-time champion of anything, or a champion like a heavyweight champion at all. He does not have a good promo. He was a catchphrase with Enzo, with his little runny buddy cat Enzo. He was a catchphrase, and you can't teach that. He was a catchphrase, and that's it. He wasn't anything. Cass has not proven himself, and quite honestly, the work that they had him going for, it was him versus Dumbass and The Big Show for 3 weeks, maybe a month and a half. What am I supposed to? How am I supposed to be impressed in this guy? He did nothing in the tag team division with Dumbass, and he was not doing anything really on his own. So what are they going to do with this guy? He wasn't a convincing heel whatsoever. I don't see anything big for this guy. I don't think he's going to be around next year this time. Just saying. I don't think he'll be around at the end of this year. If he is, I'll be surprised. Because honestly, I don't see much in Big Cass, Colin Cassidy. I don't see anything. I don't see anything redeeming in this guy. He's overrated. He was a catchphrase, and I just don't see anything for him. But that's my feelings on Colin Cassidy. I don't see him going absolutely anywhere. He's going to, of course, get as many chances as they want to give him due to his size and the fact that Vince McMahon loves those big guys. But he's not going anywhere. He's just going to be one of those guys that he could have been something, maybe, but he's just not. Was the Ultimate Deletion a success to WWE? It was a success in my eyes because if you look at the Raw third hour for this week, the third hour usually drops to less than 2,500. Raw's third hour stayed in the threes this week, so that is good for WWE's programming for Raw this week. It also is good for this. After speaking to a reliable source close to the situation, WrestleZone can confirm that there was a backstage belief in WWE that Vince McMahon was worried about Matt Hardy's The Ultimate Deletion would bomb on Raw. With that said, the Ultimate Deletion is now being considered a success amongst WWE management. This is due to the huge social media reaction. It was the #1 trend worldwide for over 2 hours, and the fact that it retained over 3 million viewers for the final hour and the overrun. There's no way that final hour of viewership for Raw can be looked at as anything less than a victory when look at the regular third hour viewership for Raw since the beginning of 2018. WrestleZone can also confirm that it was a struggle to get the Ultimate Deletion on WWE programming, but following the success of this could be Hardy's foot in the door to produce more content like this. Now, first things first. Before they went the commercial break, they did the whole Bray Wyatt coming to the ring. They come back, and they had, I don't know, and still don't know if this was Michael Cole on his own, going into business for himself, or Vince McMahon telling him, but you should never, I don't fucking care what it is, I don't care if it's the hype thing ever, you don't ever, as a color commentator, as a play-by-play, you don't ever go on live TV and bury something the way Michael Cole tried to bury this. I'm sorry for what we're about to show you. Go fuck yourself, Cole. You should have to take your headset off and never call another fucking show. How fucking dare you? I don't fucking care if it was Vince McMahon that told you to say that. Keep your mouth shut then. There is no fucking way to even justify you saying that. The fact that you guys have been hyping this thing for 2 to 3 weeks, and you're gonna come on here and say, I'm sorry for what you're about to see. Go fuck yourself, Michael Cole. You worthless, selfish son of a bitch. I fucking hate your guts, and I can't stand your fucking commentary. You are a poor man's JR. Daniel Bryan said it a couple years ago. You are a poor man's JR, and you will never be the true voice of WWE. You worthless piece of shit. Fuck you, Michael Cole, you asshole. I guarantee you Vince McMahon didn't say that. Vince McMahon was like, oh, try and do what you can to bury this thing. Fuck you, Michael Cole. How about you just keep your mouth shut, and if you ever say something like that, they should fire your ass. Your ass should be fired from your position. It should just be Corey Graves out there with coach. Fuck you, you stupid ass, worthless piece of monkey shit. God, I fucking hate Michael Cole for shit like that. Never, ever should you bury something like this, even though you don't care. If it's not your cup of tea, keep it to yourself. This is something you're presenting to your audience. Let them be the judge. Don't try and put that in their head that, oh, well, he's sorry, but we have to see this, or maybe we shouldn't see this. Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn, you guys can go fuck yourselves too, because I'm sure you put it in his head to say that. You worthless assholes. Give this guy a chance and see what happens. I want Michael Cole, on Monday, this coming fucking Monday, you are to apologize to all the fans. To everybody, you are to come out and say, ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry for my comments last week on the Ultimate Deletion. It was my bad. I should not have said that. You worthless piece of fucking shit. You are worthless. I don't want to hear your voice on Monday Night Raw again, even though I know I have to, until you finally get the guts to actually quit your job. Fuck you. Speaking of the Ultimate Deletion, backstage news on Bray Wyatt after the Ultimate Deletion. There has been talk about making some sort of change to Bray Wyatt's character, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. No word yet on what this change might be, but some feel it is overdue. About 3-4 years overdue. I mean, this character has been dead for years. He's been nothing. It is possible that Wyatt keeps some affiliation with Matt Hardy after losing the Ultimate Deletion match in the Great War feud this week. As noted, Matt made the following cryptic comments on Wyatt after the match. Bray won't see the sun again for years to come. He's broken out in love. Hashtag Ultimate Deletion. Vanguard Wood then tweets, 12:41 a.m. update. Sonar scan of the Lake of Reincarnation shows no sign of the deleted at WWE Bray Wyatt's hashtag Ultimate Deletion. Hashtag Raw. Trying to do my best robot voice. But Hardy then responds, delightful Vanguard One. The Great War with the consumer of Abigail is over. Hashtag Ultimate Deletion. So, when it comes to the Bray Wyatt character, I would honestly just kill Bray Wyatt's character. There's nothing left for it to do. You had it lose to John Cena. You had him lose to John Cena at WrestleMania, and then you had him lose to the Undertaker at WrestleMania. He talks shit, a big game, and doesn't do anything with it. So how am I supposed to buy Bray Wyatt as a reliable character? So the Bray Wyatt character, as far as I'm concerned, should just be dead. Call it something else. Get him new. No Husky Harris. That thing is just no. Anything but Husky Harris. Anything but Husky Harris. No. But Bray Wyatt should be should not even be a character anymore. Woken Bray, no. Something Bray, no. His character should be done, over with. Time to end that character. Yes, they gave us Harper Rowan and Braun Strowman, but they're off doing their own things. The Bray Wyatt character was a cult leader when it came up. He was a cult leader with Harper Rowan and eventually Strowman joining him. And that was what that gimmick was for. It has not done anything. They have not done anything with it right. They buried this thing over and over. I'm gonna go into WrestleMania. I'm gonna consume and release the hate on John Cena, and then what happens? John Cena beats him. John Cena beat him in a last man standing match after hitting him with an attitude adjustment through one of those speaker things, and then putting a speaker over top of it to pretty much give him a makeshift grave. This character is dead. There is no. I do not want Bray Wyatt to show up on Raw this week and pretend like nothing happened. That would just make the whole Ultimate Deletion thing mean nothing. Fine, if anything, if you want to, just have Wyndham Rotunda come out on Raw as himself and just say that he has been awoken, and he has been awoken. I was Bray Wyatt for. I was fed lies and whatever, or something. Like somebody was brainwashing him, and he was thought to be. He was made to think he was Bray Wyatt for so many years due to this brainwashing, and then it turns out that he's been under brainwashing and stuff, and now he's just going to be himself, and then himself is going to be Wyndham Rotunda, and go from there. We'll see. But I do not want to see the Bray Wyatt character again. It is a dead character, and it needs to stay there. It went into the Lake of Reincarnation. Do not let it come out. I don't want to see no woken stuff, no nothing. Just something new. Figure out something new for him. And don't have him show up until after WrestleMania, or at WrestleMania if you wanted to. But no, after WrestleMania, have him just repackage him. Have him go back down to NXT. Have him do something. This guy needs something new, because Wyndham deserves better than what you have done with him as Bray Wyatt. Goldberg has some talks. He talked to the Washington Post recently on another match in WWE. He spoke with Washington Post about his upcoming induction into the WWE Hall of Fame, and the former WWE Universal Champion was asked if he has had his last match in WWE. He responded with the following comments. Do I want to roll the dice again? I do not. I don't know. I'll quote one of the most famous movies that I've ever was ever in, Santa's Sleigh. It ain't over till it's over, until I say it's over. Alright. I gotta say, one of those guys, I grew up with Goldberg, as I've said before on one of my Raw reviews. My first match I ever got to see of any type of wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, was Goldberg versus Hollywood Hogan for the World WCW Championship on Nitro in 1998, I believe it was. 1998, yeah, 98. And that was a great match to me back then. It was just great. The crowd was popping for this whole thing. The crowd, of course, didn't get it. Like, when I watched that match back recently, like, you hear, like, the Tony Schiavone and I believe it was Bobby Heenan going, like, completely crazy about Goldberg, and it's like, when he gets him up, the crowd's gonna go wild, and it's like, he gets him up, and the crowd, like, it's, like, I don't know if the mics weren't good enough or something, but I could barely hear the crowd. Go listen to that match, and then listen to Daniel Bryan coming back last week at WWE's on SmackDown this past week, and you see a crowd difference. Or if you want to be close to the same thing, go listen to Stone Cold Steve Austin when he comes into the Georgia Dome, that same arena that match took place for WWF Raw, and you could hear the crowd. You can actually hear the crowd, whereas in this match you could barely hear the crowd. It might have been the audio of WCW because WCW didn't know jack shit. But Goldberg's last run was. He did a lot more damage than he did good, actually. You had Brock Lesnar, and this is Brock Lesnar, who is the Universal Champion, and they're trying to build up as this big badass that can hit one person, like everybody, with one F5 and win his matches, even though before his loss to Goldberg, he had to take 3 or 4 F5s to beat The Undertaker, I'm pretty sure, in a Hell in a Cell match. Or he had to use a couple F5s to beat Triple H in a cage match, I'm pretty sure, something like that. It's just... he did a lot more damage. He killed Kevin Owens' Universal Championship reign, which I think should have went to WrestleMania with him and Chris Jericho for the title, which would have been better than it was. And of course, I don't know who Chris Jericho would have lost the title to, but yes, him taking Brock Lesnar, who just beat the Streak a couple years ago, and I've seen a couple reactions to that match, and there's a lot of people who were so unhappy with the fact that you had Goldberg, a 50-year-old Goldberg who was not wrestling in 12 years, come out of retirement for this match, win in less than a minute, and they were like, yeah, there were some people like the good shock, like, oh my god, this just happened, and there's others like disgusted look on their faces, like, this is just ridiculous. This guy beat the Streak, and you're gonna have him job out to a 50-year-old Goldberg. What the hell? And it did a lot more damage than it did good. So a one-off for Goldberg at WrestleMania, no, I don't want to actually see Goldberg wrestle in WWE again. It's just, no, there's no reason for it. It was a nice little novelty act, but WWE needs to start relying on nostalgia and actually try to build new stars. We'll get into how they're failing Roman Reigns later on. But we're about to get into what Daniel Bryan actually had to do to get cleared by WWE. WWE produced a great video on Daniel Bryan, who ended up writing the speech that he did on Raw, on SmackDown, right before the show went on the air. He was actually in gorilla position watching that video opening package. He had tears in his eyes and everything. They actually have a video on WWE.com, so on WWE's YouTube page, about backstage right before SmackDown went on the air of Daniel Bryan in gorilla position watching and writing his speech for that show. Cameras caught up with him on Tuesday following the announcement that he had finally been cleared and returned in the ring to WWE. The video was filmed backstage at Tuesday's SmackDown in Dallas. Bryan revealed that he got cleared on Monday. So Daniel Bryan was actually cleared on Monday, but they held it off until Tuesday so more people could tune into SmackDown on Tuesday. Which, quite honestly, if they had like Corey Graves, which would have been the best person to do it, if they would have had Corey Graves announce it to the world that Daniel Bryan had just been cleared, and like there's breaking news, Daniel Bryan will have, or they could have been like breaking news, Daniel Bryan's going to have a major announcement tomorrow night on SmackDown for his WWE future. From like they could have had some kind of, without even breaking the news of it being cleared, it could have been, and I'm sure a lot of people have been like, oh my gosh, he's cleared. Like if they would have had WWE, like Coach Corey Graves or Cole talk about and come out with a graphic, come up and say, breaking news, Daniel Bryan will have a major announcement on Tuesday SmackDown for his WWE future.
Make sure to tune in at the show opens the show opening on Tuesday for Daniel Bryan's big announcement. People would have probably tuned in anyway, and probably would have been like, "Oh my gosh, is he cleared, or is he quitting, or what?" We will have to wait and see. If you had this dream that you fight for it, and this is words that did not get put into their YouTube video of his speech, but it was there. If you have this dream that you fight for it, and you keep fighting for it, and you keep fighting for it, then it may never come, and it may never come true. It might not, but it's never the end game. It's not the destination, it's the journey. It's interesting because I thought about this moment so much in the past 6 months or whatever. Okay, imagine what would happen if you actually did get clear, and it still seemed kind of like an impossibility. Now that it's here, it still seems kind of unreal, and I still feel kind of unprepared for it. It's hard because legitimately I just got cleared last night, Bryan reveals, so there's still this wave of emotions, and it's hard for me when I'm thinking and writing what I would like to say. That is hard for me not to cry. We noted before how Bryan's wife Brie Bella was trending on social media on Tuesday night after Bryan's speech included praises from how Brie is the one that kept encouraging him to see the specialist and never give up on getting cleared. Bryan thanked Brie several times, which started a "Thank you, Brie" chant in the arena. Bryan got emotional when writing notes for his promo and thinking that he was going to say about his wife. This is one of the reasons why I was crying as I'm trying to write this, because of Brie as a wife of somebody who she worried about. She's the person who is the most concerned about me as a person, more than anybody else on this planet. To have her support, and not just her support, but to have her actively encourage me. Bryan said there's times when I'm like, they're never going to clear me. It's just not going to happen. And she's like, you can't have that negativity mindset, which this is great. This is great for anybody who wants to succeed in anything like this podcast that I'm doing right now. As long as I keep working on it, working on my verbiage, working on my skills and everything, and everything, then eventually I'll get better at this, and then maybe I'll get up to that, and hopefully I'll get up to those heights that others see as the years go on. I'm hoping to be doing this for years to come, because this is just something I like to do. This is great for anybody. Say you want to go and be a basketball player in the NBA, is starting as a kid, and you want to do all that stuff. You have a lot that you have to fight through to get it done. You have to go and you have to become good at, you have to go work on your skills and all that good stuff. Same thing with football, basketball, baseball, hockey, any job that you want to do, any career you want to do. I don't mean job, but career. Maybe you want to be a scientist. You have to fight for your dreams by going to college, studying all the time. Maybe you want to be somebody who makes video games for a living. You have to sit there and fight for that stuff too, and go through your job, go through colleges and do all that stuff and get resumes and stuff up and everything. This is good for anybody. You don't want to have a negative thought in your mind when you're working on something as hard as he has worked on for his clearance. So definitely good words for anybody. Fight for what you want. If you don't fight, then why are you wanting to do something? Why are you going to have dreams if you're not going to fight for them? Always good right there. Let me see here. Daniel Bryan, of course, is expected to team with Shane and Commander to face Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at WrestleMania 34. The new subscribers can sign up for the WWE numbers, blah, 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 and that good stuff. What Daniel Bryan had to do to agree to get cleared. This is the good stuff. Daniel Bryan revealed in an interview with WWE this week that he was cleared to return to the ring competition by Monday. While he was cleared on Monday, the decision wasn't finalized until very short before WWE made the public announcement on his return on Tuesday, which again, I'm sure we could have held that off until SmackDown, but they wanted to try and get more people to watch by posting it on social media. They didn't have to say anything. All they would have to have done was, and this one I think made it a bigger pop, had Daniel Bryan, they would have been breaking news. We can't say much, but Daniel Bryan was going to have breaking news, you could have had them on breaking news. Daniel Bryan has a major announcement on his WWE future. Make sure to tune in to SmackDown at 8 o'clock because Daniel Bryan will open the show to address his WWE future. And then the crowd he would have been he would have had his speech, and then he would have been WWE has cleared me, and that crowd just would have popped instead of knowing beforehand. That would have just been amazing. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest edition of Wrestling Observer newsletter, Daniel Bryan hasn't wrestled since April of 2015, shortly after he won the WWE Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 31, which he had to give it up because of concussion he suffered in a match with Sheamus that people want to sit there and blame Sheamus for. It was Daniel Bryan's own fault because if you don't watch the match, Daniel Bryan was the one headbutting Sheamus multiple times to try and get Sheamus off of him, and of course he got up and he was bleeding from the head. That was Daniel Bryan's fault on that end. He retired the following February after an EEG test revealed slowing of brain activity in a small lesion in the area of his brain that caused seizures. Bryan reportedly suffered 2 seizures and over 20 concussions in his career. Bryan was later told by his doctor that retiring was premature and that the lesions is a vague thing. He had gotten cleared by several doctors since then and said that he could wrestle elsewhere when his WWE contract expires in September if he were healthy and WWE would not clear him. WWE sent Bryan to get tested by several neurologists chosen by WWE medical director Dr. Joseph Maroon over the past 2 months. After they cleared him, Meltzer noted that Maroon was scheduled to test Bryan next week to clear him. However, it was changed to this past Monday so that he could start building to WrestleMania angle this week. The script for SmackDown this week was rewritten after he was cleared. Bryan's expected the team was changed to face Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. There were backup plans of having McMahon get a different partner if Bryan wasn't cleared, or to have the WrestleMania match be a 3-way with McMahon, Owens, and Zayn, with Bryan as a special referee. Daniel Bryan got physical for the first time since 2015. This past Tuesday, Bryan fired Zayn and Owens for attacking Shane last week, which caused Zayn and Owens to attack him. Bryan fought back and looked like he hadn't lost a step, which somebody who's trying to get cleared like him, the reason he hasn't lost a step is because he's been training probably at home. He has a a ring in his home. He has a ring, a gym, and all that in his house. So for him to be able to say he hasn't lost a step, this guy's probably still in ring conditioning. He's not in ring shape because the only way to get in the ring shape is to be in the ring, but he's in shape enough to be able to go at a moment's notice. Both hitting men with chest kicks and running drop kicks into the corner while also hitting a German suplex on Zayn. Eventually, Owens and Zayn were able to take control, which ended with Zayn hitting Bryan with the haluva kick, which scared probably the hell out of everybody because that is a kick to the face. Followed by Owens hitting him with the powerbomb onto the apron on the outside of the ring. The show ended with Bryan being stretched to the back by paramedics. It was noted in the Observer that as part of his agreement with WWE, now listen to this, he will go to doctors backstage after every match, and I'm going to say every segment like he had tonight, and get impact testing and neuropsychological evaluation done until WWE is comfortable that he is okay. So I guess this has to go with the hyperbaric chamber treatment that he went through, that he's going through to keep himself ready, is that it gives you impairment sometimes and some other symptoms that I don't have in front of me that I couldn't find them, but I heard that it gives you impairment. So they want to make sure that he's okay. So I'm saying for the next 6 months or so, he's going to be 6 months to a year. I'm sure he'll be looked at to see how his brain is doing. So by all means, that's great to see. That is great to see. Not much else has been decided upon other than his WrestleMania match. His schedule will be determined. Although Bryan indicated during an appearance on Edge and Christian podcast last August that he might not be interested in wrestling full-time, which he should not. There's no reason why I can't return doing what I love. Bryan said it may never be full-time, and it will never be this idea of I'm going to go in and be the guy who main events every live event and stuff. I'm not even sure I want that. Now that I have a child, I don't want to be away from her that much, but to say that I can't wrestle, say, 50 to 100 matches a year or so, to say that I can't do Jalen and Terry Funk's. I can't do Jalen and Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk are still doing in their 60s. I also want to give the caveat of this. If at any point along with all this, if somebody said there's a real indication that I should not be wrestling, I don't want to wrestle. My health is 100% more important than coming back to wrestle. Being a father is more important than going out there and expounding my belief that doing more hammerlocks in wrestling is good for business. Yes, it's great to see that, and he doesn't even need to be on every house show. Quite honestly, I think WWE needs to cut back on house shows as it is. they should have Friday and Saturday house shows, and that's it. They don't have to have a house show every single week. Give these guys some more time off. It will cut down on injuries. You won't have to have like all these injuries that happen. I mean, Seth Rollins hurt his knee in a house show match. Daniel Bryan could come back and work a few matches. Randy Orton doesn't even wrestle house shows full time. He might be on 1, maybe 2 house shows. I mean, he's not wrestling that much. Daniel Bryan itself, what are they going to do about the GM? That's another question. With him being cleared for the ring again, will he be taking out as the GM, and what are they going to do for the general manager position? And no, I do not want to hear like, and your new general manager, Nikki Bella or Brie Bella. I will just want to shoot myself in the head if I have to hear that. What are they going to do with the general manager position? I don't know. But Daniel Bryan himself does not need to wrestle in house shows. I mean, hell, you have Monday night Raw goes on, but SmackDown has a house show. Tuesday night SmackDown goes on, and Raw has a house show. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think one of those days they have off, but it's like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, minus a pay-per-view week, they have house shows, and of course WrestleMania week they won't. They need to cut back on house shows. It does alleviate the pressure of being on the road 300 days a year. They should have to be Friday and Saturday. Like you say, like Monday, the Raw roster has their show on Monday, and then they don't wrestle again until Thursday. Leaves them Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, you have SmackDown, and then they don't wrestle again until Friday. You have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and of course, if you have a pay-per-view, you would have, since it's dual branded now, you don't have a house show on that Sunday. But other than that, and of course, if you have NXT has their show on the Takeover, but then of course, Raw and SmackDown have their own house shows on Saturday. So they need to cut back on house shows a little bit. I think just killing, like, first off, the house shows aren't getting much. You're not selling as much for house shows as you once were. So having these guys scheduled to wrestle 6 times out of 7 in a week is just ridiculous. So they need to cut back on the house shows anyway. Daniel Bryan doesn't need to be on every house show. Yes, I'm pretty sure the very first house show that you advertise Daniel Bryan on that show, it could just be Daniel Bryan versus the sign guy. That place will sell out like that. You will have a full house to see Daniel Bryan return. Will that help the house show sales? Probably where Daniel Bryan goes. So, like, say, the night after WrestleMania, the week after WrestleMania, the Friday after WrestleMania, you advertise Daniel Bryan in a singles match against Rusev. And that place will sell out immediately. I'm pretty sure there'll be ticket sales going by the numbers, because you're going to see Daniel Bryan for the first time on a house show in 3 years live. People are going to sell them out. So basically what I would do is any house show that doesn't have Daniel Bryan advertised, cut it. Just cut it. Just refund tickets, whatever. If Daniel Bryan's not on the show, don't have the house show. Just saying. That doesn't mean give him more more than he should do, but he doesn't need to wrestle all that time. So Daniel Bryan, it's great to see Daniel Bryan back. It really is. I cannot wait to see what happens. And again, I asked this on Tuesday, but I didn't get any answers, of course. But we're coming up to what people are suggesting SummerSlam will be a big event. And Daniel Bryan's going to be wrestling on SummerSlam unless things change by then with, he takes a hit wrong or something, ends up getting a concussion. But so basically, if Daniel Bryan makes it to SummerSlam, which I'm hoping and pretty sure he will, who would you like to see in a big one-on-one marquee match? Would you like to see Daniel Bryan wrestle? Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, anybody? I'm trying to see Anonymous, Johnny Gargano. Oh my goodness, the list goes on and on. What I would like to see is Daniel Bryan versus... I would like to see Daniel Bryan versus Johnny Gargano, for sure. I think I said something else on Tuesday, but I'm going to be right back. Johnny Gargano versus Daniel Bryan. The face of the company, and Daniel Bryan is the face of the company. We're going to get into the supposed face here in a minute with this pathetic update that WWE had on Roman's status for Mania, as they called it. But Daniel Bryan, the face of the company versus the could-be face of the company, Daniel Bryan versus Johnny Gargano, and I could see this being a great match. Think of Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano from the Cruiserweight Classic, but with two guys who are clear-cut faces, and this is one of those ones that you couldn't turn either one of them heel. Johnny Gargano and Daniel Bryan, neither one of them can be a heel. These two are by far the biggest baby faces in the company, even though Johnny Gargano, quote-unquote, isn't in the company right now, but you know what I mean. So that would be a great one, and it would be awesome. So let me know in the comment section below who you think that you would, who you would love to see Daniel Bryan wrestle at SummerSlam. He'll probably be on Backlash and Battleground and Money in the Bank, which I don't see him being in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Let's not go there. No high-risk matches like that for him right now. Maybe a year from now, if he's still able to wrestle, I'd wait until 2019 after he's gotten his body back to wrestling, because even though he's been out for two and a half years, almost 3 years now, trying to put him in that type of match already would be a mistake in my opinion. So let's leave the ladder matches and stuff like that for a later time. So yeah. Moving on here and continuing on with the face of the WWE. This is not the people's face. This is WWE's ugly face. WWE's pathetic update on Roman Reigns' status for WrestleMania. WWE has not announced a storyline injury update on Roman Reigns after he was destroyed by Universal Champion, which got cheers, mind you, on Monday Night Raw, but they did post the following teaser on Monday Night Raw on Monday's Raw. Will Roman Reigns be 100% for WrestleMania? That right there is like, are you fucking kidding me? Again, this is professional wrestling. I don't care what the fuck they call it. This is professional wrestling. The second you start training, you are never 100%. The closest person who's going to be 100% to wrestle is Daniel Bryan, because he hasn't done any actual wrestling in 3 years that we know of. He could have been wrestling with his wife and stuff and getting her trained up and just maybe doing a couple things here and there. Who knows? And this is from WWE. As Roman Reigns was in the process of being taken into custody by, quote, U.S. Marshals for violating his suspension this past week, which he was in his wrestling gear, which I forgot about mentioning this. First off, he was in his wrestling gear. Why would he show up on Monday Night Raw suspended in his wrestling gear? Wasn't he? They trying to go the Stone Cold Steve Austin route with him here. I'm gonna buck authority because I don't care what you think, because I gotta be here to stand up for my brothers and sisters in the back. Doesn't work. And for violating his suspension this past Monday, Universal Champion Brock Lesnar brutally attacked the handcuffed Big Dog, and enough with the Big Dog. He is not the Big Dog. That has been and will always be The Undertaker, whether you like it or fucking not, WWE. You cannot just take somebody's nickname and give it to somebody else. It just doesn't work like that. Who needed to be rushed to a local medical facility in the wake of the most callous assault in one of the most callous assaults in WWE history? Do they forget what happened last year when Roman Reigns got thrown off a loading dock while on a stretcher and then put in an ambulance and tipped over by Braun Strowman? How is that not as bad as this? Or like they have like selective memory. Are they serious? This was nothing. I've seen worse beatings than this on Monday Night Raw, yet they're going to say this was one of the most callous assaults in WWE history. Give me a fucking break. Little is known about Reigns' condition at this time, but one has to imagine that the Beast Incarnate's actions have changed the landscape of the Universal Championship match at WrestleMania after all. Most superstars have difficulty simply implying standing upright in a match against the Conqueror. What chance does Reigns has if he's still recovering from the Beast incurred injuries? Give me a fucking break. That entire statement right there. Reads Roman dick sucking all the way. This is fucking pathetic. Vince McMahon is trying to, and this leads into what happened the next night. Vince McMahon is probably fuming, and this is why Vince McMahon kept Daniel Bryan away from the ring as long as he could, because they wanted to get Roman Reigns over. They have tried from WrestleMania 31, 32, 33. They're trying this year. They have done everything they fucking can, and nothing has worked. They're doing the Stone Cold Steve Austin route now, where it's, I don't care about authority. I'm gonna go out there. There's nothing relatable about Roman Reigns. This guy gets arrested. Everyone else gets police. Why does Roman Reigns get quote-unquote U.S. Marshals? Why were the U.S. Marshals on call for Monday Night Raw? Why were the U.S. Marshals? Why weren't there just normal cops? Why? Because Roman Reigns wasn't going to beat down the U.S. Marshals, which, mind you, if they were real U.S. Marshals, real U.S. Marshals, that's 10 to 15 years right there. And the big dog, as they like to call him, which he's not the big dog. Fuck the big dog thing. That's not even funny. But he would have been going to jail. This is pathetic. This is absolutely pathetic. This is just like, this guy is nowhere near the face. This guy, what is so relatable about this guy? Daniel Bryan is 100% the guy. The real face in WWE, the successor to John Cena. And John Cena, when he came into the WWE, I just got done watching it, like, not too long ago. I saw the rise of John Cena from the guy with just plain boots and plain shorts and wrist tapes to the Doctor of Thugonomics. Yes, the Doctor of Thugonomics in its sense could not work in this day and age with how he was portraying himself back then. But he was relatable to a certain extent to a certain audience in 2002, 2003, 2004, and 2005, and so on, because he was a rapper from the streets. He was portraying a rapper from the streets. There were people who could relate to that. He was serious. I mean, yes, he threw little jokes here and there about, dicks and all that good shit, but for most of the time, he was serious. That John Cena was relatable. People could get behind that John Cena. He started as a heel, and they transferred. John Cena, some of his best work was as that heel Doctor of Thugonomics. I'm just saying. That could be my opinion, but that's the truth. And he was relatable then. He's not as relatable now, but he was relatable then, and by the time he stopped being relatable, he was already a made man. There is not a damn thing relatable about Roman Reigns. He comes in to his... He's suspended. He gets into the arena while wearing his wrestling gear. Why is he not in street clothes? Why is this what he walks around every single day in? Oh, I'm the big dog. I sit here and I wear my shield guard. I go to the store and get my plums or my dick sauce. Yeah, this makes no sense. I mean, they just did, like, on Wednesday, they had Johnny Gargano show up in the crowd buying a ticket in his street clothes. You didn't see Johnny Wrestling coming out, like, having a sign, pulling the mask off, and then he's Johnny Gargano with the, in his, wrestling clothes. No, he was in street clothes. This guy, Roman Reigns, they have tried every single thing. And even when, even Brock Lesnar came into the arena, not in his shorts to wrestle. He came in a t-shirt and shorts. Yeah, Roman Reigns is in his wrestling gear for some reason. Give me a break. This guy, they've tried the Silent Badass, which was his the heel Silent Badass, which Roman Reigns is a heel. The Roman Reigns character itself is a heel. He is not a babyface whatsoever. This guy is the Marty Jannetty. And I'm saying it, he is the Marty Jannetty of the Shield. And they're trying to push a Marty Jannetty to be the over-the-top babyface, and it's not working, and it never will. This guy, there's nothing relatable. Give me one thing about Roman Reigns that's relatable. Go on. Let me know in the comment section below what you think, how you can relate to Roman Reigns. When Daniel Bryan is somebody who is first off, he's small for the smaller guy. He is an underdog. He is somebody that, like, the authority and the guys in the back did not want to push, and the fans behind him. And I could already hear Roman Marks being, oh, he's just vanilla. He looks like a girl. He's ugly. How can you make him the face? He's not. Give me a break. Go watch Raw and watch Roman Reigns get the holy hell beat out of him, and the fans cheering the hell out of them. Cheering the hell, and when the cart gets pushed over and Roman Reigns is getting pulled and you hear yes chants, then go look at Tuesday and watch Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens beat the holy hell out of Daniel Bryan and hear the crowd just boo the living hell out of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So the reaction that you got on Tuesday for Daniel Bryan's beatdown is the reaction that they wanted for Roman Reigns on Monday, which they did not get. So you tell me who the fuck the most over guy in the company is, because it sure the fucking hell isn't Roman Reigns. Oh, he's getting a reaction. He's getting the fans cheer and boo what they want. Fuck no. This guy is not. I can't wait till WrestleMania is over, when this thing's over, because when we get to the night after WrestleMania, oh, it's Bizarro Land. We're in Bizarro Land. It's the night after WrestleMania. The fans boo who they cheer and they cheer who they boo. Give me a fucking break. When Roman Reigns wins the Universal title and we get to Monday Night Raw, the next night, we're going to hear fuck you Roman chants, Daniel Bryan chants. I hope this match goes on last, because I'm hoping the entire time we hear Daniel Bryan the whole time. I hope that happens, because I would just be sitting here laughing my ass off when the Universal Championship match to end the night is hijacked, which it's only going to be a few minutes because Brock Lesnar doesn't want to wrestle that much as it is anyway. It's going to be a few minutes, and Daniel Bryan, and then we're going to have Daniel Bryan chance for this 5 to 10 minute match. You can have Roman Reigns hold the championship up, for confetti goes off, and all you hear is fuck you Roman, Daniel Bryan, fuck you Roman, Daniel Bryan. Unless you have him come out the next night, and this is how I would book this match, plain and simple. I will say this now. This is how I would book this match. You want, if Roman Reigns is booed, play into it. This is how I book this match. Roman goes for a spear. Brock Lesnar moves out of the way. Roman Reigns hits the referee. Both men are down. All of a sudden, two big burly guys in ski masks come out and are just beating the holy hell out of Brock Lesnar. They're beating the holy hell out of Brock Lesnar, and Roman Reigns is getting up like, what is going on here? He's playing possum, he's playing dumb. Like, what the hell? He goes over, he grabs one of the guys, and he's like, get on him, get on that guy. And then they hit what anybody else would know, the last chapter. They pull their masks off, and it's Akam and Mazar, the Authors of Pain. The Authors of Pain, then of course, hold Brock Lesnar up as Roman Reigns hits the spear. They powder out of the ring. Ref gets up without seeing any of this. 1, 2, 3. Your new Universal Champion. AOP comes back in the ring. They put him on their shoulders, and Roman Reigns holds the title up. And boom, you got yourself a big fucking heel to end the night. That is the only way this is going to work, in my opinion, if you turn him heel. And it would be a great way to get the Authors of Pain on the map, to screw Brock Lesnar out of the championship and give people a reason to boo the hell out of Roman Reigns. And then, of course, the next night he cuts a big heel promo saying, I don't give a damn what you guys say anymore. These boys back here, they care about me, and I care about what they own, whatever, and just put over the AOP and put himself over and just be the smug heel that he can be. And I've said it before, every babyface that's been big has had a heel turn in one time and another in their career. Hogan, Austin, Rock, Cena have all had heel turns at one time or another. Triple H, who's been not the face but one of the bigger stars, has been a heel and a babyface. He had a babyface run in 2002. He had a mini babyface run in 2001. Was it 2001 or 2000? Yeah, 2000 I think it was, after Austin came back. Before Austin, it was him. Before they found out it was him, who was the guy behind Austin's neck injury, or like getting hit. Babyfaces, like, if you want to be an over babyface, in my opinion, in WWE, you gotta have that major heel turn. I mean, yes, Hulk Hogan was the big face. He came to WCW, and then he revitalized his career as a heel. John Cena, if it wasn't for the fact that there was no competition, if there was some kind of competition, we probably would have seen John Cena get a second heel turn. But John Cena we see today wouldn't even be a John Cena had he not had his first heel run. Why they will not give this guy his proper heel run is beyond me. But that was just pathetic, everything I just read. WWE really trying to play up that this guy is going to be damaged. First off, you did it 3 weeks before WrestleMania instead of the go-home show. The go-home show would have been a little bit different because you only have 6 days to recover instead of 20 days to recover. So That was WWE's mistake right there. If they wanted to do that, they could have. As long as we don't get a tug of war on the go home show, that shit was stupid. And for WrestleMania 31, where you had Brock Lesnar hold the title up in his hand, and then Roman Reigns goes to grab it, and they tug of war on it for a minute, and then we fade to black. That was stupid. So that was pathetic. People don't understand that Roman Reigns is not relatable. I have not seen one redeeming quality in what I can relate to Roman Reigns as being a good babyface. He's not. This guy should be heel. If you want to see what a real babyface reaction is, go watch Tuesday or it was Wednesday when Johnny Gargano, when Daniel Bryan was out there both times, or when Daniel Bryan was getting... If you want a real heel reaction, the one that they wanted for Brock Lesnar, which is not going to happen, you watch what happened to Daniel Bryan. You watch what happens when Tommaso Ciampa comes out to utter his first words on the mic since Johnny Gargano was gone. Then you want to see a good babyface reaction, you watch when Daniel Bryan gets some offense on Sane and Owens, or you see when Johnny Gargano took the mask off and it was him and he actually got some offense onto Tommaso Ciampa before the security got a hold of him. Those are real babyfaces. Roman Reigns is nothing. Roman Reigns is not the face of the company. He might be Vince McMahon's handpicked face, but he's not the actual face of the company. This guy, they have tried for 4 years. The badass character does not suit him. He can't play a badass unless he is being a heel. He is not a badass. He never has been and never will be. He was the Marty Jannetty of the three. He was the Marty Jannetty who got pushed to the moon. Imagine, and the reason I say this, imagine if you had Marty Jannetty with the Rockers and you took him and pushed him to the moon. Only for him to come crashing down. You tried 4 straight years to push this dude to the moon, and nothing came of it. That's Roman Reigns in a nutshell. Plain and simple. That's Roman Reigns in a nutshell. So, and people might come with about like, oh, how dare you call him Marty Jannetty? Trust me. Go look at the worth ethic of Dean Ambrose before his injury. Go look at Seth Rollins' worth ethic since the original Shield broke up. And see how they work, how well they've been compared to Roman Reigns when it comes to in-ring work, mic work, and everything in between. They are relatable in some ways, and they actually make good baby faces. Of course, Dean Ambrose needs to turn heel as soon as he comes back. I don't know how they're going to do that. There has to be some kind of beatdown and maybe some blood involved. I mean, you got to have some kind of blood here and there. I mean, this isn't the Attitude Era or the Ruthless Aggression Era where it's like you beat somebody down and they're going to bleed. But this one, like this beat down to whoever he does it to deserves some color in it. Latest on the WWE UK show as we move on from here because I'm going to stop talking about Roman Reigns. In the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer reports that WWE is still pursuing the development of a UK TV show with a date booked in Margate, Kent. The report also notes that other dates have been booked in the past for similar events only to be quietly cancelled. Also, WWE United Kingdom champion Pete Dunne, Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, Wolfgang, and Mark Andrews all have signed new deals with WWE. The company has also signed new UK wrestler Zach Gibson. And I have not seen much of Zach Gibson work, but I have seen that this guy like talks himself up a lot. He does. Like you'll see, like I've seen him in What Culture Pro Wrestling / Defiant Wrestling. And he likes to talk himself up as being one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. So he will be a great heel for the UK show. I'm hoping they get this done or something. If not, it's like, I don't know. It might be too late. I mean, it's been over a year. They had one show before. Like, they taped one show that aired before I think it was 1 or 2 shows that aired before Chicago, where they did a little mini tournament to see who would wrestle Pete Dunne at the NXT TakeOver Chicago, which was won by Tyler Bate, of course. Not Tyler Bate. Like, who would wrestle Tyler Bate at the NXT TakeOver Chicago, which was won by Pete Dunne, who ended up giving us the match of the year in all of WWE, which again will go to NXT with this year with Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Cena. But yeah, I hope they do something here. But December, that's towards the end of the year, and it looks like they didn't keep Joseph Connors or half of the rest of the UK talent. So yeah, so hopefully, like, quite honestly, I don't think we even need to do UK show. Just bring them all in the NXT. NXT seems to be where the UK title has been residing since. It's like the UK title is its 5th title. We will have a new title, an actual 5th title, fifth title in NXT. That also goes with the NXT Championship, the tag team, fourth title. NXT Tag Team Championships, Women's title, now the North American title. So this would technically be the fifth title if it was to stay in NXT. And quite honestly, there's no reason. They've had more title defenses on NXT than anything else. I guess we have to go back to Roman Reigns for a moment because his post-Mania plans is slotted to feud with Samoa Joe after WrestleMania. This could be a potential spoiler for Reigns challenging Brock Lesnar for the Universal title at Mania on April 8th, but there is nothing entirely clear. Joe has been out of action with an injury for the past few months, and this would be a high-profile role upon his return, which, quite honestly, unless he's winning the Universal title, why bother? Why would you even have Samoa Joe just go out there? He is one of the best. He is a real heel. He can be a real babyface too if he has to be. But Samoa Joe coming back from injury, and it sucks if he's going to have to miss WrestleMania again because this guy's worked too damn hard not to be able to showcase his skills at WrestleMania. But a foot injury, of course, kept him, which there's still 2 weeks to go. They could put him in the Andre, which I wouldn't do that. But we will see what happens. Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns. Unless he's going to end up winning the Universal title in their feud, why bother? Because that's just Roman Reigns doing the same thing as before and just pretty much killing all talent. Roman Reigns is in a position he doesn't need to be in. Gonna end it here, though. We do have Triple H says 205 Live is a work in progress. This will be the last one of the night. Triple H spoke with PW Insider's Mike Johnson last week at the WrestleMania 35 press conference where he discussed the current state of 205 Live and said the following. It's a work in progress for sure. Every single show we do is a work in progress at all times. If you think, hey, this is what it is, you're done, that's across the board for WWE, people tastes change. Times change, you do the same thing for too long, that gets boring. Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live. You don't have the same... You constantly have to evolve. If one of those great things about your industry, I think it's constantly evolving. You constantly have to be in the front of it. The day you stop thinking, I have something to learn about this, you're done. So to me, all of it is a work in progress. 205 Live is a work in progress. Looking at when it went in a direction after the Cruiserweight Classic, it went in a direction that was believed to be the right direction to Vince McMahon, and that was it. And then fans told us it wasn't the right direction, so we changed course. They told us they didn't like vanilla, so we went to chocolate. They told us we are digging the chocolate right now, so we're going to stick with it. And I think that's the exciting part of, the great thing is we can turn on a dime and we can deliver to people the things they want to see. Sometimes it may take a little bit to get rolling. Sometimes it may happen immediately. It just depends. I feel like we're heading in a good direction with 205 Live right now. NXT is firing on all cylinders. I think we're gearing up to head into WrestleMania season with a lot of guns blazing. It's an exciting time. Yeah, 205 Live was not in... After the Cruiserweight Classic, 205 Live was in a terrible direction. It was in a downward spiral. There was no way in hell the direction it was going to have, it was in before Triple H took over, that 205 Live was going to work at all for the rest of this year. With Dumbass, and I'm just going to call him that because he is a dumbass and I don't care for his character, so I'm not going to mention him by name. But when he was the Cruiserweight Champion, that thing was a joke. That showed that Vince McMahon... Kevin's done. Cruiserweight. You want to watch those little boys who flip around? No. We got to talk about Roman Reigns. Now, when those two were in charge, no, it was awful. It was bad. Vince McMahon was more character-driven, and everyone other than Drew Gulak, which Drew Gulak, his character was better than what he was before. But what he's doing now with this serious, I'm going to rip your head off character, I think is better than with the PowerPoint presentations and stuff like that. Leave that alone. The more serious, but the character-driven did not work for that because it was just WWE, Raw and SmackDown with purple ropes and smaller guys who can do flips. That was it. Next thing you need to do for this 205 Live is get them away from the SmackDown audience unless you're going to tape it before SmackDown when the crowd is actually more live. Now, I will say, because I did catch up with the 205 Live, the Cruiserweight tournament, the match between Cedric Alexander and Roderick Strong, the crowd got in, like, the crowd wasn't into it immediately, but by the end of that match, the crowd was, like, on their feet mostly. The crowd was getting into it. The crowd was popping for the spots they needed to pop for. It was one of those matches that the crowd woke up for. So, this match, Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander needs to be the match that opens WrestleMania. Do not put this on the pre-show. Everything that Triple H and all these guys have worked for to get this up and going, this Cruiserweight tournament on the map, needs to be giving its just due, and that is putting it on the main card. It should open the show, plain and simple. Give these fans 15 to 20 minutes of a good match between Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali to open WrestleMania. After, of course, America the Beautiful and whatever else pageantry they want to do. But this should be the first match of the night. And if I could, give me a ladder match. I would love to see these two in a ladder match, just because when was the last time we had a singles one-on-one ladder match at WrestleMania? I honestly don't know if we have. I think, WrestleMania 10. Was WrestleMania 10 the last time there was a ladder match that did not have more than two people in it? I mean, there was a triangle ladder match at WrestleMania 2000. There was TLC 2 the year after that, and I don't think there was another ladder match until, like, recently, which were all, like, multi-man. I mean, there was Money in the Bank for a couple of years, but has there been, when was the last time there was a one-on-one match for a title at WrestleMania in a ladder match? Not 6, 7, 8 guys, but just one guy versus another guy. I would love to see a one-on-one ladder match between Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali and see what these guys can do to open WrestleMania. But get these guys away from the SmackDown audience. Now, if they get to open the WrestleMania, this will help 205 Live immensely. For the simple fact is, this crowd will be alive at this time. This crowd will be lively. This crowd will be up and ready to go. They're going to see good action. Give these guys 10. This isn't back before the network where they had to actually abide by rules of the... And there's a clock going. There's a siren going off. Great, but there's a clock. There's like they don't have to abide by the rules of pay-per-view, so they can go for as long as they want. So this show is probably going to reach till midnight on April 8th. April 8th. We'll probably be bleeding into April 9th like we did last year, where we ended up going. I believe we went over midnight when Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we did. So. This should open the show and get 10, 15, or 20 minutes. And then we go on from there. This should be the first match of the night at WrestleMania, and it will probably be one of the matches that could steal the show if they were given the time. And then people are going to be like, oh, wow, these guys are putting on a great match. I need to check out 205 Live. And when is 205 Live? Oh, it's on the WWE Network a little bit after the Mixed Match Challenge, which ends in 2 weeks, so... After the 2 weeks is over, it will be right after SmackDown, which, in my opinion, 205 Mixed Match Challenge is a colossal failure because it has not piqued my interest, even though you have Asuka in The Miz, which, before we do leave, I want to say, the next match, which will be the Boss Club versus the Road Warriors, Charlotte and Bobby Roode have to lose that match. It cannot be Miz and Asuka versus Charlotte and Bobby Roode. Because that gives away your WrestleMania SmackDown Women's Championship match weeks early, like 2 weeks, like a week. Actually, it gives it away a week early, because like a couple days early, because the Mixed Match Challenge ends on the Go Home show, the night like after the Go Home show of SmackDown. So you'd be giving away, if the Road Warriors win this coming Tuesday over the Boss Club, you actually have the Road Warriors versus Mizka. It would be bad because you're giving away your women's title match sort of 5 days before the match at WrestleMania, which would be a colossal mistake to me. So Balor and Sasha Banks have to win the Mixed Match Challenge match this week, and then you have a Raw versus Raw match, which is whatever. But that's going to be all for this week's Unscripted. Make sure to find me on Twitter at The Fronts. Find me on twitch.tv/TheFront08. I will be back here on Monday for a Raw review and see what the follow-up to the Ultimate Deletion. And again, fuck you, Michael Cole. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those bells for all notifications. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on each and every one of these stories today, as well as give me comments on your thoughts on who you'd want to see Daniel Bryan wrestle in his first big high-profile match. And then when I mean high-profile match, I mean Big Five as in WrestleMania or SummerSlam. So his big first singles high-profile match at a SummerSlam coming this summer in August. Make sure to make sure to be here for Monday. We will be back for our Raw review, and I will see you guys then. Take it easy.